Hello everyone, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis, and welcome to today's video. Today is episode 26, no, 29 of Adeptus Podcast. I'm sorry, I'm usually the one who keeps count and I forgot, I'm so dumb. Oops.
It's okay. Just remember, a slight error in timing causes a civil war in the Imperium.
Yes, welcome to episode 29 of Adeptus Podcastus. And as you've already heard, joining me is Ego Queen Alexis.
Yo.
And 40k Theories.
Hello, everyone.
You don't even get a name.
In this case, actually, no. Oops. Oh, I'm not on the ball this evening. Okay. So yes, welcome to the podcast. It's actually the first time we've actually all got into our new setups and talking together, because obviously I've moved out to France, Alexis is in her new place, so there will be some, I'm not going to say sound issues, but some slightly different volumes and echoes than you might be used to. So
call it teething pains.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I will apologize now in advance. The echo in my apartment currently is very bad.
Minor echo versus stupid loud motorbikes every 5 minutes. I know what I'll take.
Yeah.
So that aside, how is everybody?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, not too bad, thank you very much. Got be recording the video on the Kakarodons tomorrow, which is quite a long script.
Yeah, I've got a very highly requested lore video coming out, it's already come out by this point, but it's on the flagships of the Primarchs, because people wanted to know about that, that was an interesting read, I'll tell you. So yeah.
And for me, I have Rants and Rambles coming out next week. I will be building up custodians.
Since when did you have custodians?
I have an entire custodian army.
Of course she does.
I have 15 different armies, like
Tau.
I had Tau for the longest time.
Yeah,
I had 7,000 points of Tau.
Yeah, I remember you talking
more
about
Tau.
it when we.
You know what the dumb thing is? I will admit this now. Since I sold them, I have regretted it every single day, and I miss my Tau. Like, I never played a game with them. Like, I barely played with them because they were...
Justification.
Yes. I played a couple of games with them back in 7th, but they were my auto-win army.
So
I dropped 3 Riptides and I won the game. Because 7th edition. I'm obviously oversimplifying it, but when I moved, I had to get rid of them because I needed extra cash, and I was like, yeah, I regretted that decision for so long, and I want my Tau back.
So when are we going to call you Ethereal Cast Tau Alexis?
Stop it, Rem. That's never going to catch on. It is not going to be a meme nor a hashtag. Stop it.
No, but Alexis X Magnus is.
Yes, it is, and I'm more okay with that one.
This week. So, for those of you who are Astra Militarum fans and were wondering where is Krieg in my codex, in case you missed it, Forge World did it. They went there. Forge World got some new stuff out for Krieg.
Yay. The new models look pretty nice, actually, like the Krieg Quartermaster and Retinue. That looks cool. I like how it's got the rib cage on his coat.
Quite. And it says that they're actually quite good support units, giving out what sounds like Feel No Pain and Healing, which is, so they're like apothecaries, so they're probably pretty useful.
Hospitallers do it better.
Yeah. Entry scored at ease, as they call it, because it really does allow you to mix up the variety you've got in your units, which is cool.
It does. I actually did a slight review of the Astra Militarum Codex as I got it.
I've heard horrible things.
It's all right. First off, it's not as bad as people are saying. Like, it really isn't. A lot of their stuff did go down in points, which does sound scary, and you do get to reroll those d6s on the number of shots. But it's still hitting on 4-ups. Even with a reroll, that's not that great. The army, and I know a lot of people can disagree with me with this, but you got to take it from my perspective. Unlike Michael, who's more of a casual player, I'm more of a power gamer. And I will admit that I'm done trying to argue that one. But the one thing I've noticed is Imperial Guard are going to make the best ally, one of the best allies. I'm already I have my Genestealer Cult army written across my table, and Genestealer Cult includes my guard, and I'm sitting here like, okay, well here's what I can do. I can run 6 Dominion squads with 2 Canonesses, 3 Sister squads, and 3 Dominion squads with a Canoness and Celestine. Okay, 3 squads of blob infantry squads, so I can mob them up.
Yep.
And that makes an impenetrable bubble around Guilliman and my artillery line. And that's all under 2,000 points.
Snipe. Yeah, that's intriguing, and I think that's going to be interesting to see, because you've got to look at armies now. Ever since 6th edition, you can't just look at armies in a bubble anymore. And I think sometimes that's what people forget. I know I forget it. I forget to look at, well, okay, the army doesn't do everything well, but it does this well, which makes it a good ally for this.
Well, when it comes down to it, they did Age of Sigmar 40k, but they did it in a very subtle fashion. Because instead of going, oh, well, this is the Imperium army, they put them with the Imperial keyword, and thus it justified everything.
Well, Sigmar did the same thing with Order, Chaos, Destruction, and Death. It is a little bit less in your face with 40k, but and I'm not going to go off on another Sigmar relevance discussion because I've done that enough times now. So I'm not going to go there, and I'm going to move on to the Death Guard, who got even more stuff.
The guy with the abacus.
I can't see him. Where's he?
The Tallyman or whatever he is.
Yeah, I know the one. I'm more referring to primarily their Apothecary, the Biologus Putrefier, who looks really interesting.
Can I just point out this is one of the first times we've actually had Chaos Apothecary since Fabius Bile?
I think he's the only one ever, apart from Fabius Bile.
I think there was one way back in 2nd edition, and that's it.
Yeah, Fabius Bile.
Did Fabius come out? Yeah, because originally his model was listed as Chaos Apothecary, and then he got his name.
No.
They've also released the Icon Bearer and Plague Champion. I don't know if they're completely separate or if they're just part of the new Plague Marines kit, but they are also available. So you can have your icons if you're a Dark Imperium person, you can do that. And they got the tank, which I don't even know its name. I've forgotten its name, but it looks straight out of Robot Wars, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Isn't that just a Sakaran tank facing the wrong way?
It's the something crawler. I don't know how big it is, but it looks straight out of Robot Wars.
It's about the size. It's about the size of a Land Raider. Its firepower is decent, not great. I've already faced 3 of them with 1,500 points of Sisters of Battle versus. My team was Sisters and Tau versus. And don't say it, Remleiz. Do not say it. Don't say it. I know it. I can see the grin behind your skull. I know it's there. I can feel it. But, stop it. But anyway, and I went up against 3,000. I went up against 3,000 points of Death Guard, and I can tell you, Sisters of Battle are the most broken army in 40k right now, because 1,500 points was more than enough to deal with 3,000 points of Death Guard. They're slow.
Well, your 1,500 alone was enough to stomp them.
Pretty much. And I'm not saying that I absolutely wrecked them or anything. It was I dealt enough damage to both players that they were on edge, and I was just having the Tau player do cleanup. It was like, all right, I knocked this squad down to 3 guys, kill it off.
Yeah, that's actually a point, because Tau are really good at whittling and cleanup, but they can't do the devastating unit wipes that they used to be able to do, which may or may not have been broken. That's up to you. But they can't do that anymore, but they're very good at killing, let's say, the last 4 or 5 guys in a squad, or taking off the last few wounds on a tank. It's the heavy damage they can't do, so using them as cleanup duty is actually pretty solid.
Yeah, they made a pretty decent ally. Now, keep in mind, that was just a fun game. That wasn't a tournament game. We were testing out things. I wanted to try out some Retributor squads in there, and it was really powerful. And really what it comes down to is sisters have repressors, and no other army has a repressor.
Right.
But the new tank, it dealt quite a bit of damage. The mortar not needing a line of sight is kind of awesome. Because you can literally hide the entire thing except for its tiny little track behind a building and still get a clear line of sight at something.
Yeah, I had that issue with Manticores. Screw Manticores.
Let's talk about Manticores. Those things are incredibly powerful now.
Ugh. I know why my opponent, but we have a guard player at home, and he's one of the most low-key power gamers you've ever seen. Like, nobody thinks he's a power gamer. Nobody. But his guard army is Punisher Pask with 2 Russes, Manticore with a Tech Priest, Vets with like quadruple plasma, or have as many plasma as you can fit.
5 plasma.
Yeah. He runs at least 1 assassin at a time, if not all 3, if not 3 or 4. And I know that's just what his collection is, but it's like all of his armies like so randomly put together, but they're all terrifying. And it's kind of like, ugh.
Just wait until he gets Reboot Guilliman to put in the middle of it all.
He's not that bad. Like, he still buys on to a theme, but he's quite a butterfly with his themes. So it's like, oh right, yeah, here's 1,500 points of guard and some Death Watch and some Skitari and this and that and the other. Speaking of Skitari, how good are Admech?
Admech are
not getting a roaring seal of approval.
Well, let me quote one of my favorite movies. Mediocre.
Okay.
Yeah, they're there. They're definitely a balanced and fun army to play, but you're not going to see them like win tournaments. You're not going to see them just immediately stop everything that they say. They're there.
They're there. Fair enough.
I mean, it's cool if you're bringing knights with an Admech contingent to heal them, but the knights don't need that.
Well, aren't the knights part of the Admech Codex now? The Questum Mechanicus.
Some are, yes, but
so.
It's one of those things where you could heal them, or you could take another knight. And what sounds better? Also, a fire alarm is going off. Sorry.
Sounds like an air raid siren.
It is.
Someone had Taco Bell.
Actually, in front of me is... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, dear.
It's McDonald's.
Speaking of tanks that are very big and have big guns...
the Grab tank that just came out.
In their own words, what happens when you cross a Sicaran, a Repulsor, and a Fellblade? Meet the Astreus.
Oh, so that's its actual name. I didn't actually see its name.
It was posted yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I kind of saw the video and just immediately downloaded the video and made a reaction to it, and I thought it was cool. I do like its long plasma cannons on the side. That looked cool as hell.
The interesting thing is, I think every single gun port is customizable, so everything can move.
Yep. I looked at this thing, and at first I thought, wow, this is stupid as hell. Let me talk about how stupid this is. Then I actually saw it from different angles and everything, and it's kind of like the Storm Raven, where, yeah, it's hideous, but it fits. But it fits in the theme of Space Marines. Now, granted, if I get one, when I more than likely get one, I'm going to put it on 2 flying bases, so it's actually up in the air.
I was going to say, how big must this thing's flying base be?
I think it's like one big peg.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a monster of a flying base to hold that thing up. Because, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, there's nothing in the images I've seen that has it for scale.
Well, it did have a couple of Marines next to it, and if you add up the Marines' bases, it's about the same size as a Fellblade.
Which is about the same size as a Baneblade, right?
Yeah, I think the Fellblade is a little bit bigger, but yeah.
Fair enough. So yes, I mean, that's the thing.
All in all, it looks straight out of Rogue Traitor. Like, you can definitely tell that the creators and everything are looking back at Rogue Trader, looking at all the silly things that they had and making them more awesome. That one custodian dreadnought that has the giant shoulder pads was a Terminator back in Rogue Trader that had the huge-ass shoulder pads with the missile pods, and now they made that into a dreadnought, which is actually pretty terrifying.
Speaking of which, they've now actually revealed that dreadnought's actually got a new weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw this.
Which is like the one that was found on another super heavy tank, but now in a dreadnought form. I've forgotten which one it is off the top of my head, though.
The dreadnought's the Telemon, and the weapon is the Iliastus Accelerator Culverin, the same weapon as mounted on the Caladius Grav tank.
Yes, there you go.
I'm just imagining Belisarius Cawl is like secretly working on the Fallen's geneseed. You know, like the why can't I think? Thank you. I couldn't think of that word for no apparent reason. But the Traitor geneseeds when he made the Sons of the Phoenix, and he's like, oh, that they belong to Rogel Dorn. That's totally not the
Emperor's Children.
What do you mean it's in the same color scheme as one of their captains? Nonsense! You're overanalyzing things, Guilliman. When have I ever steered you wrong?
Well,
and then like Guilliman just like comes back into the room. Hey, Cawl, what do you have for me today? He just opens a drawer. Dreadnought STC that would never release. Take up.
Yeah, but in fairness though, Traitor geneseed has been used for a while if you believe the whole Blood Raven, Silver Skulls, Cacarodons, Minotaurs, Red Scorpions, Doom Eagles, Sons of Antaeus, Nine Snakes.
Yes, if you believe it. And there is obviously the evidence that you and others have compiled to suggest it to be true. But I think they're actually... how do I put this? It's interesting, like the way that they've actually tried to flat out state, no, he did not use Traitor geneseed. Like, it's almost as if they're trying to say, so yeah, we're trying to make Cawl this like moral paragon here, because obviously if they'd have just said, oh yeah, he's working with Traitor geneseed now, people would be like, I knew it about the Carcharodons and stuff. It's helping to keep the speculation going, which is probably a good thing.
Well, the funny thing is, the novel Red Tide it flat out states essentially that the Carcharodons are both the Raven Guard and the Night Lords at the same time.
Fair dues.
It's like, we were once Raven Guard, but we were founded by Night Lords. Yes. It's like, what?
Well, in all fairness, is that really a bad thing?
Yes.
In
the Imperium's mind, yes.
Traitors.
Well, no, I mean, as a chapter, is that a bad thing? I mean, look at pre-heresy, what the Emperor's Children have done. They perfected warfare. They made it elegant. Until their pride was broken and then they went ballistic.
Again, if you're going back to Emperor's Children, Loyalist, Successor chapters, again, I point you to the Red Scorpions and the Doom Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely the Doom Eagles that I knew. Yeah, it's going to be one of those debates that will rumble on for a while, probably. You know what actually I think will be most interesting is an actual Belisarius Cawl focused novel, because I don't know how much Gathering Storm 1 was focused on Cawl as opposed to the war. So I'd be interested to get a novel from Cawl's perspective.
Mm.
That would be a real good insight.
Oh, yeah.
Because Greyfax has a novel, doesn't she?
She has an audio drama.
Yeah, she has the audio drama where she goes, hey, Guilliman, I need an entire fleet to go and do this. And Guilliman's like, yeah, I gave you a small strike squad and a tiny ship. That's all I can spare.
Deal with it.
Are you serious? Yeah, just go flying right into the Eye of Terror. Don't worry.
What's Guilliman's VA like in that?
Pretty stoic. They do call him Rebooty Guilliman.
Rebooty
Guilliman.
They
try to Reboot E. Guilliman. Sorry, I stuttered.
Reboot E. Guilliman. The E is for exceptional.
I mean, in that book, he's kind of just sitting behind a desk the entire time, organizing the Imperium.
Well, he is Lord Commander.
And right after he sends out, or is it right before he sends out, but he tells Greyfax he has a plan for the other item. and then he psychically calls up Eldred to talk to Aeneid.
Inaid. I go with Inaid, but I think
Bob.
Iniad is the canon pronunciation.
Just call him Bob.
Well, the chick that resurrected a god.
Oh,
Ivrain. Sorry.
Ivrain.
Inaid's the god, Ivrain's the girl.
He calls up Eldred to talk to her.
It makes sense how to call it It makes sense to call it Eldred, considering the fact, the Order of Xenos has the Covenant of Isha with Craftwell Ulthway.
And especially when you consider the fact that Silandra Veilwalker, who saved Guilliman, is allied with Eldrad.
Actually, but there was some of my favorite lines in that audio drama. One of them is, "How dare a Munkai?" And then he's like, "This is Reboot Guilliman. Rebooty Guilliman." And he's like, "Oh, hang on." Or when, in the same book, Armin is assaulting the Black Library, trying to get in with this huge force and everything.
As you do.
And he's only fighting the Harlequins. He didn't even get into the Black Library yet to fight the White Seers. There's only one White Seer outside. And in it, she says one of the best lines, I've always quoted this as a way of saying Armin is nothing in the lore. She walks up and walks through like Armin's army and just goes, "Armin." Like, she's just like, "Dude, why are you here? Go home."
I want my book. I want my library card.
I want my books, damn it. What are you going to do? Like,
just order them online.
Whatever he is doing, he will fail. That is the fate laid out for him.
Does that make him more of a failure than Abaddon? Yeah,
that's a debate for another time.
That is
you know what, Remleiz? That's an entire theory on your own channel.
Actually, I tell you what, I was watching. I was watching Test of Speech today. I watched back episode 19 because, well, episode 19 is the greatest thing ever created. And there was a point I could practically quote that thing word for word. For those who don't know which episode I'm talking about, because you don't know TTS like the back of your hand, it's the Warp Grumblings episode where Magnus explains the Chaos Gods, and it is genuinely one of the best pieces of writing. And I would say if you want to show somebody 40k in a slightly humorous way, start there. Literally start with that one episode.
Yeah.
I can't...
Although, in all technicality, we're still not sure if Khorne's nobility and justice is still canon.
That does seem to have gone out the window.
As far as I'm aware, it was no longer canon because Khorne just cared about the slaughter now.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Just kill them all.
Yeah, because actually, if you look at Skulltaker, Skulltaker will offer his chosen victim a duel, but if they run, he will just cut them down. He won't chase them down and then say, right, you will stand and fight, you will do this properly. He will just cut them down.
And if you go by Karn, he's basically an orc at this point.
Did you see the author's reasoning on Twitter?
I did. I read it, and I was like, okay, that still doesn't make sense, but sure.
I think I missed this.
Essentially, Alexis is still pissed off because they made
into
the Incredible Hulk.
Actually, I was more pissed off about the ship hitting the Hive City, but with his reasoning, it made more sense. I was like, okay. And he was like, yes, I didn't explain it properly. And I was like, yeah, you didn't.
I thought it was perfectly explained personally, but that's just my own opinion.
Well, that's because you're dumb.
Or I can read between the lines.
That's because you make things... I'm just messing with you, Remleiz. Obvious messing is obvious. But anyway. No, when he did explain it, I can understand the whole, well, we need to get there first. We don't have time to plan. Let's smash the damn ship into it. They didn't care about the long-term goal. And I was like, all right, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, but I can see that.
It still sounds like a bunch of orcs, though. Like, you could take Karn and the entire World Eaters band out of there and replace it with insert war boss here, or God's Goal, and his boys,
Well,
and the book would
yeah.
have been just the same.
Well, yeah, don't forget, they're Khorne worshippers. What do you expect? I mean, I can understand I can understand if it was, like, say, the Emperor's children doing that kind of tactic, being pissed off, because that wouldn't make sense for their modus operandi.
Nope.
But in other news, Codex Tyranids is coming out.
And new battle forces.
Yes.
Battle forces? I've seen the
wait. Start collectings is what they call them now.
Yeah.
Start collecting. There's the Craft World and a Tyranid one, which features.
Oh, what's in the Nid one? I haven't seen this, and I've got a Nid player who will probably want to know.
It's got Broodlord, some Gene Stealers, and a Trigon. Is it?
Yep, it's got the Broodlord from the
Devastation
children of the children of Charybdis. I think that's what they were called. But anyway, it has that special Broodlord, and it has an 8-man Gene Stealer squad, which, if you know anything about Gene Stealers right now, they are the hotness in the Tyranid Codex. They actually, I've looked at these start collectings and everything, the new ones coming out, and they're exactly what tournament players are playing.
Yeah, because the Eldar one is quite Wraith heavy, isn't it?
It's a Farseer, some Wraith Guard, a Wraith Lord, and a Warwalker.
And Warwalkers are no joke this edition. They are really powerful. I really like them.
I think it's better than the last start collecting set, which was just, jet bikes and a Falcon?
There wasn't one, I don't think. If there was one,
yeah, it was literally like 3 jet bikes and it was a fire prison tank. That was about it.
Yeah, it was bad, and no one bought that. We actually refused to order it in my store.
Yeah, Warwalkers, I think Warwalkers have probably got the Vespid effect, or what I term the Vespid effect, which is they were so bad in last edition that nobody expects them to be good this edition.
They weren't that bad last edition.
No, but like in the context of Eldar.
Even then, they had the ability to outflank, and they can reroll all of their weapons.
Yeah, but this was in an Eldar army that could literally put hot shit on the table and walk over anybody.
Well, they could literally put everything on the table and just be like, all right, this is my tournament list.
Yeah, so Warwalkers being good and serviceable in that codex, they were so low-key and underrated that nobody really thought about them, is probably a better way of explaining it.
No, I get what you mean.
But yeah, that's interesting, and I'm very confused by that Tyranid one. I know your justification in terms of tournaments.
It's so good, though.
I tournament-wise and play-wise, I understand, but in terms of building a Tyranid army, why would you?
It gives you an elite, a troop, and a heavy, and it's so freaking good. Like,
how does it
can't help but.
How does it fare compared to the last one, which was like a Hive Tyrant, 3 Warriors, and Gargoyles?
I haven't seen anybody play Gargoyles this edition. I kind of don't like Gargoyles this edition. I kind of view them as meh at best.
Well, let's wait until the Codex comes out. So that comes out in November. I think pre-orders go live on the 4th.
It comes out November 11th, right after my birthday, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, I agree. Wait and see is the right attitude. It's just like when you think of like how to start like baby's first Tyranid army, it doesn't start with Gene Stealers. At least it doesn't in my head. It starts with Gaunts.
No. I completely agree. It should start with a Hive Tyrant. But it should be a Hive Tyrant, Gaunts, and like the Trigon. That would have made more sense to me for start collecting. I
think I would have gone personally with maybe if you don't want to release a new Tyranid Prime model, then I would go with a Tervigon, Gaunts, and
the Dagon Overlord,
and probably Raveners.
The Dagon Overlord is going to be awesome this edition.
Speaking of like making reference to older things that haven't been referenced in ages, I'm just genuinely impressed that the new Death Guard Codex mentioned Foul Spawn of all fucking things, because he hasn't been mentioned since 2nd edition, I don't think.
I was going to say that's a new name on me.
Foul Spawn was a Chaos Spawn that became a Demon Prince, but now
fuck?
Yeah, it was in 2nd edition. He was a Demon Prince, who was a Chaos Spawn, But in the new Death God case, he's just basically the longest living Chaos Spawn who's grown so big and so powerful. Like, he literally just swallows people whole and survives that way. But in second edition, Nurgle was so pleased by him, he made him into a demon prince. And guess how many wounds he had in that edition?
I'm going with a multiple of 7.
Just take a guess. Take a guess.
14.
More. He had
21.
He had 18 wounds.
Flip me.
For a second edition model where nothing had higher than 10 in any stat.
Ugh.
That was also when Doombreed had a leadership of 12.
Because reasons.
Because Demon Prince.
I suppose so.
McAction had a psychic mastery of 5, I believe.
Yeah, who is the most powerful? I know Tigurius and Mephiston are psychic level 4. Magnus is 5, isn't he?
Yes, I think.
Surely
Eldrad Ulthran should be relatively high because he's supposed to be the most powerful psycho of the Eldar race.
I feel like if you're not a Primarch, you cap out. If you're not a named character, you cap out at 3. If you're not Magnus, you cap out at 4, and then Magnus has 5. I feel like.
I think Eldrad should have it at 5. Just because.
I wonder how powerful the Emperor will be on the tabletop in terms of psychic powers.
Well,
mastery level 10.
Well, we're going back to 30k here, so obviously slightly different levels apply.
All stats at
10. When 30k, Magnus was 5, Ahriman was 4, and they're the only reference points we've got. Now, we never saw Magnus and the Emperor actually try and psychically duke it out, so we don't know quite how ludicrous the Emperor will be, but I'm going to start the bidding at 7 and work from there.
Actually, I think he's just going to have the stat line of Horus, Lupercal, and then, not Horus, Possessed Horus, and just go...
That just requires having rules for Possessed Horus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't have rules yet either.
No.
No, we have, I mean, Horus...
It's going to be straight 10s across the board, I feel.
No, he's not going to be that powerful.
It's the Emperor, he will be that powerful.
I can see weapon skill and ballistic skill 10. I'm not seeing strength and toughness 10. I genuinely think he'll probably be weapon skill, ballistic skill 10, maybe 10 wounds, maybe. Initiative 10, maybe about 7 attacks.
Leadership 10,
strength,
blatantly.
Leadership 10, blatantly. Strength and toughness, I'm thinking are going to be in the region of 7. And then the Emperor's Sword will be a boost to take it up to 10. But he won't have a flat 10, I don't think.
It might actually be a D weapon in the Emperor's hands.
Yeah, because what is it in Guilliman's?
Strength 10.
True, but this is an edition that doesn't have D weapons.
What was it in last edition?
Strength 10.
Okay.
Wait, wasn't it? I have to check. I have the book somewhere else.
Wasn't it a D weapon in last edition? Like, he could choose to forfeit some of his attacks to make it a D strength hit or something?
I think so.
I never bought the Gathering Storm book, so I can't really check.
So you were spared from the shitty writing.
Room, so.
Oh, I knew all about the writing. It's just,
it was dreadful. I struggled so hard to reread through them. As it's just painful. It's a slog. I haven't read a book written this badly since Descent of Angels.
I was just about to ask how bad it was compared to Descent of Angels.
It's close. Not quite as bad. But let's be honest, the only other book that comes close is Damnation of Pythos.
Fair enough. I haven't read that one.
Which is a shame because on the cover you've got Iron Hands fighting a giant dinosaur. So you think that's going to be cool. And then you read the book's like, this is shit. Considering the audio drama leading up to that, Veritas Ferrum, that was an awesome audio drama. Like, it was this Iron Hand ship coming under attack from the Traitor Legions. And it was awesome. And then, the ship's been partly blown up and they just make an uncontrolled warp to it. It's like, fuck it, go! After picking up some surviving salamanders and Raven Guard from Istvan.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But they also managed to blow up an Alpha Legion ship as well.
Wait, Ferrum?
The Veritas Ferrum.
Was that the name of the ship?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Just because Ferrum was Manus's flagship on the day.
Yeah. The Veritas
so-
Ferrum.
Okay, fine.
It's not as bad as the Alpha Legion shows. Like, what's this ship called? It's called the Alpha, the Theta, the Beta, the Delta. It's like, really, guys? Yes, we're unimaginative.
Do you know what pisses me off the most about that?
That the Alpha's not the flagship?
Oh no, the Alpha was the flagship, but there were two of them. There were two flagships, the Alpha and the Beta. Now, why am I annoyed about being the Alpha and the Beta?
It should be the Alpha and the Omega.
Exactly my point. This was literally what I said when I was recording my Primarch video. I literally have it written down in the script. Why wasn't this Alpha and Omega? Then again, that also implies that the Alpha Legion fleet was only 24 ships.
Maybe 24 capital ships.
Maybe, actually, yeah. Yeah, I suppose.
And all the others are just numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a ship number 2.
Yeah,
I have not.
Yeah, I never looked into the names of the smaller classes, but yeah, that would make sense, I suppose. Well, as much sense as can be made, but it's the Alpha Legion, but details.
Details. Like the Alpha Legion successor chapters. Ooh.
Ugh.
And then they all go, oh, by the way, we're all Alfarius, insert meme here.
That's why the flagships was called Beta, for all of the people that make that meme.
Ooh.
Zing. Also, I find it funny that the Marines Malevolent, I like to think that they're successors of the Rainbow Warriors because they have the exact same heraldry.
Yes.
And the Marines Malevolent were just pissed off because the fact they're successors of the Rainbow Warriors, so they went all edgy and douchey.
Jeez Louise, man.
No, seriously, look at their heraldry. It's exactly the same. The only thing different is that the Marines Malevolent are piss yellow.
Big point.
I mean, it's like someone tried to make the Angry Marines canon.
Oh god, no. That is such a dead meme. That is more of a dead meme than saying I am Alfarius.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny to go and read the fan-made Angry Marine Codex. It is funny to read, but it's a dead meme at this point.
Yeah, it is.
Although let's move away from fan codices and that, and let's start speculating about some real ones, because we know the Tyranids are coming. We know the Eldar are coming. Are there any more?
We know that Slaanesh is coming.
Haha.
I knew that. I was walking into that. I knew I was walking into that.
So long as it doesn't get in your hair.
And we know that Santa Claus is coming to town.
Anyway, do we think there are going to be many more codices before the turn of the year?
From what I've read, there's 10 codexes coming out this year.
How many
have we? Marines, Chaos, Death Guard,
Grey Knights,
Admech Guard, Nids, Eldar. That's 8. There's 2 more.
So
Dark
2 more.
Eldar and Necrons.
I honestly think it's going to be Sisters.
I reckon Necrons will probably be one of the ones to definitely come out this year.
We're also Primarch season is not till February.
And did you see the official art for Lion?
Which one?
His face on the new audio drama thing that's coming out.
Yeah, it looks so.
He looks like Jagatai.
He's got I'm actually curious. Has he ever gotten a blood transfusion in his life? Because he has radically different color hairs.
Maybe he dyed his hair.
No, because why did he dye his eyebrows? Guys don't do that.
Well, look at Sanguinius. All his art has him with blonde hair, yet in all his descriptive text, he says he's got black hair.
Well, that's like Celestine going from white hair,
same with
black hair to white hair to black hair again.
It's same with Leman Russ. Like Leman Russ was described as having red hair, and yet in his eye he's blonde.
Oh no, my Leman Russ is completely bald and has plugs all stuck into him and is in a Rogue Traitor picture.
Oh, the Imperial Guard Leman Russ.
No, like Leman Russ, Russ, the leader.
Yeah, I know.
His original artwork is silly as hell.
Yeah, and it was also just an Imperial Guard officer, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. Imperial
While we're
Guard.
talking about derpy hair, Sanguinius has got literal curls for days in this artwork.
Whoa. Okay, you know what?
Literally, his hair looks like springs.
Yeah, because he knows how to take care of his hair. Felgrim taught him all of his secrets.
Also, I think he's wearing, is that leopard print? Or some space leopard print?
No, that's the pelt of a Carnodon.
Oh, yeah.
He's looking at the shoulder pad, he's got the cap
Yeah. Sorry, I knew that. Sorry, I forgot my own bloody research.
Also, since when did Sanguinius have a spear?
Since always. What's it called? I think it's like the Spear of Testalos. Hang on, give me a minute.
Because the sword of Sanguinius is actually just a ship or a psychic power.
The sword of Sanguinius is the blade in Carmine. Is the blade in Carmine?
I can't remember. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question for Primarchs to have multiple weapons.
The Spear of Telesto, yeah.
Yeah, because in his artwork, Lionel Johnson, instead of having just a massive sword, he's just got a chainsaw now.
Well, Lion Sword was broken. That's why.
Oh, yes, of course.
It was broken by Sanguinius, actually.
No? Wasn't the Lion Sword broken on the planet itself?
Well,
I thought it was broken
against Kurz, though, didn't he?
I thought it was he was going to execute Kurz and someone blocked him and broke the sword. I thought that's how it went down.
All I know is Cypher got the sword.
Yoink.
Somehow.
Turns out Cypher is actually one of the Blood Ravens.
No, it turns out that Cypher is actually a freaking, Harlequin in disguise.
And you missed the joke.
What was that joke?
I mentioned Blood Ravens stealing. Hello.
Oh, that's a dead joke.
It's still more relevant than Angry Marines.
Fair enough. So, does anybody have a rant? Because I think we covered all the news, didn't we?
Yes, it's question time next, isn't it?
All right.
Yeah. We actually got through the discussion-y, newsy segment quite cleanly there.
Well.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay, well, moving on to questions. Here we go. Wouldn't converting feudal worlds into more advanced worlds be much more efficient and profitable, while deprive the Imperium of resources to preserve a primitive society? From my understanding, in regards to feudal worlds, it's mainly because the people there are generally tougher, so they'd prove to be better aspirants for the Imperial Guard.
Also, the Imperium doesn't care.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Well, no, they care enough to get their tides, and that's it.
Yeah, as long as they pay up, you can run the world how they wish.
Yeah.
Well, and according to one of the Sisters of Battle books, so long as they pay their tides and worship the Emperor or one of the sanctioned religions that worships the Emperor, it's okay.
Yeah.
Take your prayers, eat your vitamins, and say your prayers, brother. Anyway. Okay, next question.
I don't know what happened to Remleiz right there. He's been experiencing technical difficulties ever since he installed the new Cyberdom.
Oh, don't talk to me about technical difficulties.
I really thought you were going to say Cyberdom.
No, I had so many technical difficulties trying to stream last week. It was a flipping cauchemar. That's nightmare, by the way, for those of you who don't speak French.
Sacre bleu. Sacre bleu, cordon bleu, ratatouille.
Kashmar is also the name of a demon in, Nightmare Creatures.
Well,
but that game sucked.
Whoa, okay, Remleiz. All right, you know what? You sit right there and you shut your mouth. Because you're wrong.
Oh, no.
It was a 2 out of 10 at best.
Run.
Your face is a 2 out of 10 at best.
That's still 2 points better than yours.
Oh shit. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Moving on, yeah.
How powerful did the janitor become on the Vengeful Spirit after the Siege of Terror? Just a smudge of the Emperor's blood turned a piece of solid rust into a Primarch-killing superweapon, not including Horus and Sanguinius. So yeah, what actually happened to the Emperor's blood on the Vengeful Spirit?
Um, uh, I don't know. It's never mentioned, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
I mean, in Black Legion or Vengeful Spirit, I don't believe it's ever mentioned that the blood still stains the bridge. So it obviously went somewhere.
The ship ate it.
Or they cleaned it.
The ship is now sentient and can turn into a giant dinosaur named Triptychon.
Remleiz?
Yes?
What have I told you about Transformers?
That's awesome.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Next question. If the Emperor is infusing part of his soul into mortals to make living saints, does he have to get their consent, or does he just infuse himself?
He's the short. He is the mother-flipping Emperor.
I think they mean more in regards to, do they have to make a pact like how with...
I think it's actually just a rape joke.
Well, no, because he actually makes references to Zeus in the Greek pantheon and stuff. Let's see the parallels between the Emperor and Zeus. But I'm going to answer it as if it was something similar to how Chaos had to make a pact with the Chaos Gods to attain demonhood.
Okay, well, let's run with that argument then. I'm going to go with no.
I'm going to say they make a pact through their prayers to the Emperor.
I was going to say they're kind of already devoted.
So basically the Emperor goes, you're praying enough, bam, living saint. Okay. Will we get named Primaris Marines? At some point down the line, I see no reason why we shouldn't, or wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of a MASH-themed guard army?
Oh my god.
That is too old for me.
Okay, first off, MASH was one of the best written shows of all times, and I highly suggest that you watch it. But first, listen to the theme song with its lyrics, because the theme song is "Suicide is Painless." And yes, a MASH-based army would be amazing. Please do it and send me pictures.
There you go. If you had the honor of meeting or fighting alongside someone from 40k, who would it be?
Oh, how long a list do you want?
Fulgrim.
Yeah, we knew that, Alexis. Even though
Magnus,
you
Farsight.
love Fulgrim, yet you play Death Guard. What's up with that?
I actually am going to be starting I'm not even going to say it. I have plans for 4 more armies by the end of next year.
And we now know one of them is Emperor's Children.
I'm surprised no one said, would you not want to meet the Emperor?
No, I wouldn't. He's a dick.
I did say how long a list do you want, but yeah, it's interesting because obviously talking to the Emperor would be an experience, but at the same time, you'd be better having if you want an actual intellectual, borderline psychic-based conversation.
Malcador?
You are better. Go on.
Malcador?
Magnus would be your best bet, because
I would actually talk to Malcador.
Oh yeah, Malcador will be a fascinating subject for a conversation or an interview. I don't disagree, but if you want to actually sit down, have a chat, and discuss the wonders of the universe, I think Magnus would actually be the best one, because he'd actually try and help you understand. Because that was half of his point, is he wanted Psychers to be understood.
And then he gets beaten up by Lehman Russ.
He tore out his heart.
Why does nobody remember this?
Anyway, no, but I would like to ask Malcador a few questions. But my biggest one would be, why did he pick Garro when he already knew the heresy was happening and there were already closer and more powerful warriors than him? Was it because of his devotion to the Emperor as a religious figure?
I don't think that had happened yet.
No.
No, he was devoted to the Emperor.
I don't...
He was loyal to the Emperor, but he didn't worship him as a god until after the whole incident on things, after he got brought back to the Soul System.
Yeah,
after he ended up killing the Lord of Flies. That's where his religious experience started to come around.
No, because in the audio dramas, he actually hands people a necklace and says the Emperor protects.
Yeah, but that's after the Flight of the Eisenstein.
Yeah, true enough.
Because Flight of the Eisenstein was still when he was still just Death Guard Captain Garro.
Malkador must have known that.
Not necessarily. Malkador could just see, like, Malkador could just scan his mind and say, okay, this guy's obviously loyal. He's come to warn us. You know what? I'm going to put him in charge of my new Knights-Errant group I'm putting together.
Well, actually, he didn't call him the Knights-Errant either.
No, I know.
No. Who coined that phrase? I think it was Rubio.
Yeah.
I feel like it was Rubio who coined the phrase.
Ultramarine called him that.
Yeah, it'd be Rubio then.
No, like just some random guy. And he was like, that's as good a title as any. And then Rubio started calling them that.
Oh, maybe I've got my wires crossed. I need to go back and check.
I can send you the audio dramas if you want to.
No, that's all right. I just checked my script because I know I made reference to the coining of the phrase Knights-Errant, and I could have sworn it was Rubio that said it. But never mind.
He probably said it and coined it, but it was somebody else who called him that. Actually, they originally called him the Ghost. The Ghost of the Battlefield.
I have never even heard that term in any of the Garro audio dramas.
Yeah, re-listen to them. They say it like once, and it's really funny.
Which one? Which one?
I think it's the second one, and they say this is what a ghost wears. As one of the lines when looking at Garro.
Right. Next question.
Also, I would like to speak to Garro because he bested a custodian in combat.
Just.
Still.
And it was a friendly duel, not an actual fight to the death. It was a duel. Different thing.
Still.
Anyway, question for Alexis.
Oh, I like these.
I haven't had a chance to play 40k since 5th and really want to get back into it. I'm mostly caught up in the new rules and theory, but I haven't seen how they play out in practice yet. My collection is mostly Emperor's Children with 40 Noise Marines and 3 Sonic Dreadnoughts, but they're all unpainted, so I could theoretically do a different legion with them. I have also some unassembled Khorne Berserkers from what I consider collecting World Eaters as a second army/allied force. Is it still possible to make Chaos Space Marines competitive, or at least viable with this edition? How about Emperor's Children or World Eaters specifically? And if so, what units and tactics would you recommend I focus on?
Wow, that is a big question. First off, yes, they can be competitive, not great competitive. You're going to have a lot of uphill battles. The Sonic Dreadnoughts are actually really good. I highly suggest you get to yourself some demons. Definitely a bunch of cultists. You're going to need those to protect your Sonic Dreadnoughts. You also are going to want to get a couple of rhinos for all of your transports. Use 3 squads of Khorne Berserkers as an aggressive force. If not, get the relic drop pods. Just buy GW drop pods and say they're the relic ones. That way you get drop pods. Drop in a couple of your Chaos Space Marines to make those easier charges, especially with Khorne Berserkers because they get to reroll that charge. The other thing is you're going to look into Malefic Lords for summoning. It makes everything a lot easier. You're going to want to mix and match, but primarily do Slaanesh if that's your theme. I personally view Slaanesh as not that great, but Psychic Potential is really, really, really good. If you want a more in-depth talk about this, join my Discord and shoot me a private message.
Okay, question for me. Since I have made series about the equipment of 40k, are you going to be making a series on the science behind the biology of Space Marines and Primarchs, plus other races?
Oh, don't even try.
It'd be interesting to try and do, that at the very least. Okay. I
can give you all of my research on that. I've wrote like a 4-page paper on that by now.
Question. Which of the Primarchs would cosplay as Judge Dredd?
Because...
Oh, I think...
Because, justice. Like, warped as it is. Although also
Vulkan. It's going to be Perturabo.
What about Vulkan?
I'm thinking Ingron. And my reasoning is he had the gun that the guy has. I can't remember what it's called right now. And he just goes, "I am the law," and smashes somebody with his axe.
You think Angron's that coherent?
A little bit. He would at least grunt the words, sort of.
He just go, yeah!
Okay, so he's the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd.
As opposed to the Carl Urban Judge Dredd.
Yes.
Ouch.
Okay. How would the shadow in the warp of the hive mind affect the sight of navigators?
Oh, it gives them seizures.
It's not good.
Well, there you go then.
I didn't know the details, but I know it's not good.
Well, when a navigator tries to see through a Tyranid swarm, they literally see the minds of every single Tyranid.
That ain't good.
No.
Ooh, this is an interesting one. With the revelations surrounding Big E's fractured soul, could the Sensei actually be fragments of the Emperor's soul incarnating themselves?
Quite possibly.
Yes.
That's a really cool idea. I like that.
Because it helps to... Because like, the idea of the Sensei being the Emperor's biological children never really rang true, did it? Well,
no, it's kind of silly.
It felt like
around for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. Man gets lonely.
It felt like it might be something you could say, reason for them to be linked to the Emperor, but it was probably the most basic explanation anyone could come up with is, they're related to him, that's why. And yet, is perpetuality genetic? Is it passed on? We don't know.
Well, Vulkan got it. No, sorry, not Vulkan. Vulkan got it.
Vulkan got it, yeah, but then why didn't the others? Because they're all made off the same genetic material, just with a different twist. And if that's the case, why are no salamanders perpetual?
Well, apparently the whole perpetual gene has pretty much died out. Literally, the only perpetual in the 41st millennium was one Grey Knight, and that's it.
Yeah, what's his name?
Who cares? It's the Grey Knights.
Anyway, but yeah, if it's the case that the gene has died out, then that gene has to be either incredibly recessive or not hereditary. Because otherwise there's no way for it to survive, other than being a random mutation like blanks, which is incredibly rare. It's either it's incredibly rare, like blanks to the point of being non-existent, or it's been bred out because it's not passed on. Ergo, the Emperor having kids that are also perpetual does not add up with that logic. Ergo, probably the Sensei being his kids is just a convenient plot device.
In fairness, it was never said that the Sensei were perpetual, it just said they didn't age. From a biological standpoint, it's not the same as being perpetual.
Yeah, that just means immortality until murder.
They're killed. Basically, they die when they're killed.
Just like my hopes and dreams.
Next question. What are the limits of the orc speaking and understanding language?
Depends on the orc.
Yeah, they can literally talk to the Eldar in the Eldar's native tongue.
And there was that one orc who could speak perfectly fluent Imperial Gothic during the War of the Beast, who was an orc ambassador. They saying, you need to surrender.
He was speaking what? High Gothic, too.
Oh, yes, High Gothic, yes. And a lot of Sarah just sitting there just shocked, that's an orc, and it's talking to us. What do we do? Why am I cockney all of a sudden? Fuck.
Do we shoot it?
Yeah, I think the orcs kind of probably fit into the model. I can say this as a language student to an extent, of they can follow a lot of what is being said. I reckon if you could manage to calm an orc down long enough to sit a listening exam, he'd do very, very well.
Could you imagine trying to get an orc to calm down?
I'm talking purely in hypotheticals.
Just listen to us 5 minutes, and you get a squig pie and a bottle of fungus beer. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, you get my point. That they can. I find in my classes, I can listen and understand what's being said really, really well. Sometimes saying it back is the hard part, and I reckon that's maybe the same position the orcs are in.
That's why they go speak like Cockneys and go, "We's doing this right. I'm snapping you."
Quite.
All right.
Or New Orcas.
Not canon.
Your face is in canon.
My face has a cannon, bitch.
I could believe that.
Right. Is Primaris Sicarius a proper Marine? Not yet.
Actually, isn't Cantus Sicarius missing?
He's missing, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where in the warp is Cantus Sicarius?
No one cares.
Zing. Would you ever consider having Ed from Vaults of Terror on the podcast?
Yeah, maybe, if he wants.
Yeah, it generally, if I mean, we're not the most proactive in fishing out guests, but if someone does want to be involved, then we're not exactly hermits.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is shoot one of us an email.
Yep.
Email, DM on Twitter.
I mean, we do have certain restrictions, and we do talk between each other about potential guests and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like, we don't just like say, oh, well, I'm bringing this person on this week. We do discuss these things.
Yeah.
So
one of the things is, like, as a base rule, we try to get people with at least a couple thousand subscribers.
well, I wouldn't say it's about size because, well,
We don't want to bring on somebody who's like completely unknown.
Perhaps, but when we started, we were complete unknowns.
We had 1,000.
If we had, yeah, okay, fine. But the point stands that it would be rude of us to not let a small channel on because we've now got the size behind us. Because that disrespects where we came from. But I think we do. I say expect. We would prefer that you at least understood the lore to an extent. That would be a good minimum requirement. Because if you're a purely tactical person, like you can have a great debate, particularly with Alexis and even with me to an extent. But the moment a lore conversation starts, the three of us can just go on for, well, you know how long we can go on for.
Yeah.
Until Michael dies or sighs himself into oblivion.
Quite. So yeah, if you are interested and you've got a channel of your own, then shoot one of us a line and we'll discuss it between us. We request that you understand what's going on lore-wise, though it is not critical. And yeah, I suppose. And of course, if we want you to come on, we will reach out because we do that.
I would totally have Vicky the GM as a guest on Adeptus Podcastus, just saying. He doesn't have a channel, but he works with me a lot. But yeah, even Remleiz, you like Vicky.
I've never really spoken to him.
Really?
He seems nice enough, but I've really spoken to him. I've probably said like hello to him once, but that's about it. Anyway, question from Michael.
Uh-oh.
What's stopping the Tau from expanding their territory?
They don't have...
Galactic fire.
Well, one, the Cicatrix Maledictum is not helping. Two, the Imperium's in the way. Three, they don't have any way of, like, stupid fast travel. Yeah, they've got their ZFR, and yes, they can do the warp skimming thingamabobby. But they're short-lived by comparison, as far as we know. They're short-lived. They're very rigid to the point of borderline inflexible in their doctrines and their societal structure. Their technology, while incredible, is not esoteric enough to get around fast enough. And yeah, the Imperium's also in the way.
I mean, in all fairness, they can and have held their own against the Imperium on multiple occasions, besting the Imperial Fist, which is not an accomplishment considering that they're the punching bag of the Loyalists.
That's the Raven Guard.
Also...
That's the Raven Guard who are the punching bags.
No. The Imperial Fist literally lose everything.
And the Raven Guard, who were also bested by the Tau. I just want to point this out.
The Raven Guard were also bested by the Tau. The White Scars were bested by the Tau in the most humiliating fashion ever. I mean, freaking, what was it? Shadowstone was like, come here, boy. Come on, right in through this cavern where we're just going to shoot you.
And the funny thing is, the only reason the Tau beat the Scar-Lord's chapter is because the Tau had Chaos on their side.
I think in a straight up, like, man to fish person fight, the Tau can handle the Imperium 1-to-1.
Except in melee.
Well, yeah, but that's a given. The problem arises in the fact the Imperium is a galactic juggernaut. It's slow, but when it gets up ahead of steam and it's pissed at you,
it don't stop.
The only reason the Tau survived the Damocles Gulf Crusade is because literally all the Tyranids happened.
Deus Ex Tyranids are here! Yay! Oh God, they're coming for us!
Yeah, I mean, the Tau did get caught by Gorgon, but the Imperium got it way worse, so that's the only reason the Tau survived.
Yep. Which then they burned the entirety of Damocles the Damocles Gulf, and yeah, now Tau doing more stuff that's cool. And I have been reading the Tau fluff, and I do like their fluff. I like Kamioi, the audiobook. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I haven't seen that one.
It's a story about a sniper whose best friend gets killed by an Imperial Fist captain or sergeant. I think it's a sergeant. I want to say it's a sergeant. And he hunts down the entire tank retinue, because it's a bunch of guard tanks and a Razorback, and he's in that Razorback, and he uses all of his sniper drones, a Sky Ray, and just a bunch of marker lights, and kills him. And in fact, there's one of my favorite scenes in there is the Tau puts his bonding knife to his chest to kill himself, and the Imperial Fist officer is like, I thought you had more honor than that. And in the bonding knife itself was a marker light, and the guy just got shot in the head and killed. It's one of the best scenes in that entire book, and he lays there and he's dying because he just fought a space marine, and, well, yeah. And he's just got him. Bleh. But he downs an entire Baneblade convoy of Razorback and 5 Marines. It's quite awesome.
Impressive.
Okay. Question for the Tau. In Blades of Damocles, an Ultramarine strike force encountered a group of what could best be described as Kroot servitors in an area the Tau used to test warsuits like the Riptide and Ghost Keel. Could this be seen as a hint to what the Tau planned for the future of the Kroot race, or a way of testing weapons to exterminate the Kroot? #Free the Kroot.
I have not read
Hashtag
Blades of Damocles. I'll say that now. I've not read it. But I can see where people have got that idea from. I definitely can. I don't know, is the straight answer. It could be that it's designed as an augmentation. It could be that it's part of an augmentation that the Kroot asked for, because they wanted to try out new technology, but that doesn't suit the Kroot, so I'm not going to run with that.
Well, I mean, the Kroot have built the War Sphere, which is warp capable.
Yeah, the Kroot are technologically, in some ways, beyond the Tau. It's kind of weird. So the Kroot are an interesting case, but it may be that they are genuinely tinkering with stuff, and it's them doing it to themselves in an experiment that maybe went wrong. It could also be that the Tau are potentially planning to cyberize the Kroot race, and that's a point. But I also want to point out that cybernetics in the Tau isn't really a thing, and I know that sounds weird, but
it's actually looked down upon.
Exactly. I've never seen a Tau with, let's say, a bionic arm.
Yeah, you get retired, and then, well, you go missing.
And then the Ethereal tells you to kill yourself. And you do it.
Yeah. It could also be that the Kroot themselves, I like the idea that the Kroot themselves are expanding their race. Because you never hear about the Vulture, Headhunter, or Hunter kindred. You only hear the Kroot. And I primarily view it as racism by Tau, but still.
Codex Kroot win?
That would be nice.
Actually, I really was hoping that the chapter approved book were going to include some of those.
Maybe Codex Tau auxiliaries.
Well, no, they could still do it as chapter approved too, and just do the Demiurge, just a few of them, the Kroot, the Hrud, Vespid, Kin, without a doubt.
I've done an entire video on the Tau auxiliaries. If you want to know all of them, trust me, we could be here all day trying to remember.
Well, no, I'm talking about some of the alien races as well.
So
Shaharadin.
Moving on. When's Slaneshmas?
In December. Silly.
Okay, next question then. Is it possible for the Adeptus Mechanicus to upgrade the Emperor and the Golden Throne and transform him into Super Mecha Death Christ?
No.
Yes, it is. Entirely. If you believe hard enough, yes.
When you apply it, once you apply a tiny shred of common sense, you realize that they can't even fix the Golden Throne to its current state.
Considering the fact that the Golden Throne literally takes up most of the Imperial Palace with its workings, and that's several hundred kilometers in size, and even goes down to the Earth's core.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's actually... you can tell it's failing. in the fact that it used to be, the whole 1,000 cycles a day thing.
Yep.
That was true in M32. It ain't true anymore.
No, it's a lot more.
That number has spiraled.
So what we need to start growing psychers just to feed them.
Capture a couple of Tyranids and breed them. It won't backfire at all, trust me.
We already had Tyrant at Jurassic Park. It was called the Anthelium Project, and it failed miserably.
Look. Listen to Norn Queen Alexis. I know what's best for the Tyranids.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to Tau Alexis. Thank you very much.
God, fuck off.
Okay, next question. Is it possible that there might be a civil war between Garro and Guilliman? Check out my video on that. It'll save your time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Question. On Lexicanum, it states that in Fenrisian mythology, Leman Russ fought and sealed Slanesh by the Fenrisians in one of the volcanic islands. Is it possible that during or after the Horus Heresy, Russ sealed a Slaneshi demon that is still trapped within the remains of Fenris?
Until Magnus killed all the spirits on the planet, yes.
I was going to say, it being a demon or some avatar of Slanesh, I can absolutely see.
Fair enough. Does Alexis hate the Imperial Fist because there's a Captain Alexis?
Wait, there's a Captain Alexis?
Alexis
Pollux.
Oh, yeah.
The chapter master of the Crimson Fists.
Oh, whatever. The Crimson Fists are just a dumb chapter. Actually, I like the Crimson Fist, so I'm not even upset by that. I'm trying to be upset, but I think that's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, Alexis Pollux, the one Imperial Fist who actually liked that one Iron Warrior that one time.
Formed a whole bunch of fan fiction.
Yeah, honestly, I was reading the story of Pollux and Dantioch, and I was like, if there were ever such a thing as 40k shipping, this was before Guilliman and Ivrain was a thing, by the way. And yeah, I was like, this must have been shipped so hard when people first read it, because god damn it, the internet.
Hey, Dantioch, fancy a fisting?
Fuck off.
Get out, we're done.
Get
Moving
out.
on. Next one.
Next question. Why are there no models for the Iron Hands?
There is. The cybernetic augmentation goes on to a tactical squad to make them Iron Hands.
I'm going to assume they mean, why isn't there any named character models or something?
Oh. Then, I have no idea.
Apart from Ferris Manus.
Actually, yeah, the Iron Hands don't have a named character. Nope. I've just realised this.
Just give him a Dreadnought or something, at least.
Well, I mean, Card and Stronos is like... The funny thing with the Iron Hands, actually, they don't last very long.
Guys, I will be right back in 2 seconds.
I thought you were going to say, the thing about the Iron Hands is that no one cares about them.
Well, maybe, but in terms of, length of rule, Cardin Stronos is the longest-serving leader of the Iron Hands since Ferris Manus, and he was only appointed after the whole incident with Clan Rokan and, I forget the name of the planet, but it involved the Emperor's children in that demon factory.
Is that with the Sapphire King?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Ever since that incident is when Cardin Stronos took over, and he's the longest-serving chapter master since Manus.
And he's only been doing it for 2 weeks.
I mean, the part of the reason is the fact that they do it on election. So it's not like you're in and then you stay in. You're elected every year from the Iron Council. So it's not the same thing.
True.
The Iron Hands don't really have a chapter master. They have the Iron Council, and then one of them kind of speaks for all of them in the grand scheme. But it is interesting that that's possibly a reason, is the fact that they get elected out so fast or get killed off so fast that there's no time for them to establish a character.
Possibly. All right.
I'm back, by the way.
Next question. What do you three think about World of Tanks getting 2 Space Marine vehicles? Personally, I don't really care. I don't play the game.
I think it's cool.
It's cool, but I also don't really care.
I play World of Tanks. It's a lot of fun.
Funnily enough, I messaged my friend who plays World of Tanks, and he was like, that's not World of Tanks, that's World of Tanks Blitz. Very different thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is a very different thing.
Just as a little asterisk.
Fair enough. Okay. With the Death Guard Codex mentioning of Chaos Eldari, what are the odds of them becoming an actual in-game faction? Honestly, pretty low. I mean, if they haven't
Yeah,
done
very
Chaos,
low.
if they haven't done Chaos Eldar by now for like over the past 30 years, I doubt they will. But again, not impossible. But at most, I see like a Chaos Eldar character in future. That's about it, really.
Yeah.
Okay. If a Death Guard dies in battle, will he be reborn as a Plague-Bearer demon, much like the victims of Nurgle's Rot? I don't think so. I think he just dies.
Plague Bearers are exclusively Nurgle's Rot.
Okay.
That's pretty limiting.
If the Tyranids gain the knowledge of a virus or disease, like the Life Eater virus, Obliterator virus, or Nurgle Happiness Point 6.0, will they actively seek it out, like a stockpile of Life Eater on an Inquisition ship off-world?
I mean, they'd probably try to replicate it, so they might seek a little bit more to get a better sample and then replicate it.
Considering that a hive ship got infected with the Obliterator virus and then just like, oh, I'm now under the control of the Iron Warriors. I'm now going to transport a Desiree to this planet.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah,
That's really bad lore.
That was also the book that had a female Iron Warrior who became an avatar of Khorne using magical powers, drain the blood of everyone in a 15-foot radius, then split an Imperial Fist and Librarian in half with magical warp energies, and then just cut a hole in reality and disappeared. That's a thing.
I mean, how else was I supposed to ascend?
Oh, so you're Khorne now, okay.
Apparently. I don't know, I'm tired.
Okay. Dance Dance Exterminatus, should it happen?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it should.
I've been deliberately ignoring that question for 2 podcasts. Why?
Yo, don't diss on DDE just because you don't know how to play.
Okay, question for Michael. Why are the Tau so naive?
Because youth. I don't really know how much more I can say to that. They are
They're
incredibly...
just incredibly stubborn.
Stubborn? Yep. Inflexible? No, not inflexible. Actually, I say that they're militaristically inflexible, but diplomatically, obviously, the Watercast are relatively good negotiators. I'm not going to call them amazing because, well, yeah, details. But I think it is a case of when they started out, they didn't really have any big things to fight. Like, they started out and they had themselves and they had some minor little empires, and then they ran into the Orcs and the Kroot, and we know what happened there. And as a result,
free the Kroot.
Yeah, well, the Orcs were their first taste of it, but they were seen as a barbaric race. The first time that the Tau really got a taste of their own medicine was when they ran into the Imperium, and that was a sobering experience.
They just went to like Imperial space and a whole bunch of like space defense started opening fire, obliterating a whole bunch of Tau ships, didn't it?
No, actually, they actually managed to worm their way in quite well, and like we're talking a lot of planetary governors round, and then somebody, I think word got back, and then they poked the bear, and shit happened. To the point that the Third Sphere expansion was declared entirely as a propaganda campaign and morale boost after the humiliation of the Second Sphere campaign, which ended at the Damocles Gulf, which is why Farsight was chosen, because he was the hero of the Damocles Gulf.
And they wanted to kill him off.
And that too. They are incredibly naive, but at the same time, they're starting to learn. Like, they've been on the wrong end of the Harlequins on several occasions. The Dark Eldar thing, if that ever got out...
That was hilarious.
It is hilarious in its own way. There's the whole
thanks for the ethereals.
There's the Gene Stealer cult business. Like,
oh, yeah.
Let's
see what happens if they infect one of us with a Gene Stealer virus. Let's see what happens. Oh, hybrids. Oh, shit, the entire planet's at war now.
Right. But yes, I think they're basically learning the hard way. And the problem is they've been written into a corner now, so they can't ever lose that naivete, because then it kind of takes away the idea of them being these forward-looking, forward-thinking expansionists. There is, if you want that attitude in the 41st millennium, there is a level of naivete comes with it. I think it's going to be tempered a lot, particularly now with the Cicatrix Maledictum and the loss of the Fourth Sphere, but they're going to stay that way, and I can't justify it any more than I already have.
Fair enough. Okay, question for Alexis.
I like these.
You say that every time.
I know.
Well, I say oh no all the time because I'm usually expecting to get memed.
I need some advice and recommendations for a good Horus Heresy Imperial Fist army. Also, what are your opinions on Phalanx Wardens and Templar Brothers?
I will be honest with you. I don't know enough about 30k anymore to tell you what's good. I haven't played a game of 30k in like a few months. I will have to have a look at all the codexes and everything. Again, if you want to DM me, do that. But yeah.
Okay, question to Michael and Alexis. Given GW's track record with the Dark Eldar, where do you hope and where do you think the Dark Eldar will be on the tournament scene once they get their new codex? Will they still be a tier 2 army or will they go lower or higher? P.S. I agree with Michael, winning by deployment or getting the first turn is something that should be changed to give you an advantage, not to win you the whole battle.
It's part of your strategy. But anyway, moving on from that.
Yeah, because we know where that is.
I have one of my friends and he's constantly trying to best me with his Dark Eldar. I can tell you right now that running 56 Dark Lances in a 2,000-point game is very powerful, regardless of what you're fighting against. I still think they're going to be a tier 2 army. They need that ally of Eldar before they become like the tier 1 army again, because they really need some Hornets and some Vipers. Not Vipers. What is the one tank?
Falcon?
No, it's a 4-drop tank.
Oh, right.
I can't remember its name right now. But essentially they need an Eldar ally. Otherwise, they're just kind of... They're good, no question, but they'll always be a tier 2 army.
I mean, I've got very, very, very... Dark Eldar is one of the armies that I've got the least experience with because I've only played with it like twice and I've played against it never. So I've got very little experience with it. But the one thing that I've always found with the Dark Eldar is that they are incredibly flimsy. They might well hit like a brick with certain units, but the Homunculi Covens are not fast enough. The Witch Cults are not tough enough. And the Cabals are probably not numerous enough to allow a mono-build Dark Eldar army to function. That's not to say that Dark Eldar aren't going to be usable, because they will be. They always are, always will be. But I think Alexis is right. Unless they get some pretty serious changes that buff up either their resilience or their speed to certain elements, they will never be running the show. An interesting debate, actually, if you're a Dark Eldar player, and I would be curious if anyone in the comments would want to let us know, is the viability of the Witch Cult versus the Harlequins, because the two are broadly the same idea. Ludicrously fast combat monsters that, in the Harlequins' case, have psychic powers, and in the Witch Cult's case, have drugs. So I'd be interested to know on that one as well.
Fair enough. Okay, next question. When the mutant Primarch clones that Fabius Barr had created were destroyed by the Black Legion at Butcher's Market, is it possible that a mutant Vulkan clone could have survived, given the original Vulkan was a perpetual?
Maybe, at best.
Yeah, maybe at best.
Fair enough. Okay, next question. Could the Judge Dredd universe potentially be a part of the 40k universe, maybe during the long night? If it was licensed by Games Workshop, maybe, but no.
Yeah, again, if Games Workshop did have the license, that would be an easy one to put into the 40k universe.
However, Games Workshop do still own the rights to the Chainsaw Warrior universe, which I like to think is a prequel.
Yeah, and the two of us, which then you went and put into a video, the two of us did theory craft something pretty cohesive out of that.
Yeah.
Question? That was fun, that. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, carry on, sorry.
No, that was it. I was just saying it was a really fun discussion that we had when we did it.
Fair enough. Okay, question from Michael. Do you believe the Tau's lack of a god to protect them from the warp is a weakness, or could the greater good manifest itself into a new god in the warp?
Right. Them having no little warp presence can be seen both ways. It is a good thing because they're less likely to fall to chaos. Not immune, need to point this out, but less susceptible than, say, humans. However, this also leaves them vulnerable to those who wield the warp against them. Chaos, Eldar, pretty much everybody, actually. Yep, everybody. Which makes them incredibly dangerous. It makes the warp both a double-edged sword. They're safe from it internally, but externally they're very, very vulnerable. As for the greater good manifesting, I don't see it simply because the Tau emotional range that would be required is simply not broad enough. They don't reflect enough into the warp, and there's not enough of them to allow a god to form. Bear in mind, the amount that it took to make Slaanesh to be on the level of the Chaos Gods was a galaxy-wide Eldar Empire doing the sickest, most perverted, disgusting things that you can imagine, cranked up to 100.
Or
And that's the
I
Eldar.
know, they were amazing.
And this is the Eldar, one of the most powerfully, psychically dominant races there's ever been. And it took a galaxy of them doing fucked up shit for centuries to spawn Slaanesh. I just don't see it.
And I don't think they've ever regretted it.
Oh, they did.
Speaking
Not so much, but
Speaking of Tau Psychics, I remember seeing this fan art someone drew of like Tau Psychic soldiers who like have the heads of Psychics in jars on the back of that, linked up to like guns that shoot like warp lightning and stuff.
That's actually really cool.
That's how they get away with using Psychics. They just basically kill a Psycho, keep it just live enough to tap into the warp, but to use it as ammunition.
So they're Psi Titans.
In a way, yeah, like a little tiny pocket Psi Titan in a gun form. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, another question. With Forge World making characters from the video games, and that the Cadians don't have Sergeant Bastion anymore, could we see Lieutenant Mira of the 203rd Cadian?
Oh my god, I would love that.
And we do know that GW may well go there. I somehow don't see Mira, but I can see a female officer becoming a character. I can see that.
Oh, I want Mira just because of the fact we've already got heads for, Titus and Sidonus.
Do we?
Yeah, in Stern Guard veteran kit, yeah.
Oh, right, I didn't realize that.
You actually have the heads for him.
Oh, right, I hadn't realized that. But yeah, I'm completely down with Mira getting a model and rules, particularly considering, yes, Baston is gone. It's not Bastion, it's Baston. Sorry, I'm getting very nitpicky because it's details. But yeah, I'd be down with Mira because she's not quite a commissar, but she's got the intimidating presence of one.
Fair enough. Okay, question for Alexis.
Ooh.
Fuck, marry, kill. Just general fuck, marry, kill in 40k.
No, just go on.
Fair enough.
I don't like these when they just are open-ended.
And
that's it.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay then.
A very interesting set of questions there. Good. Some insightful, some not so much. And as always, if you wish to leave us a question for next time, please feel free to do so in the comments with the word question at the beginning so as we can find them more easily in future. I will be your question master, so bear that in mind. Yes.
So no naughty ones.
All the naughty ones.
He won't read them if they're naughty.
Yes, the point, I just ignore them. So yeah, is there any other topic, before we get on to the rants of the week, because that usually is a nice place to end on, is there any other topics that have come up that are like something insightful you maybe came across or is worth discussing that we haven't done so already?
I'm not going to discuss it, I promise.
Okay, we think we know what you're referring to. Fine.
Oh, you do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyone got any rants?
Not particularly, because I've already made my point about my streaming software being a pile of garbage, and just like, no, that was a disaster. Actually, this is a really, really nitpicky rant. The Militarum Tempestus, because you remember back in the day, stormtroopers, the old Imperial Guard stormtroopers were nicknamed quite often as like glory hogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were the glory boys. And yet, while they've actually carried that moniker over to the Tempestus, it doesn't really apply anymore. For the simple reason of the Tempestus are indoctrinated. So, for those of you who are not up on your Tempestus lore, and quite frankly, I don't blame you if you're not, they are taken from the Schola Progenium at the end of their studies, and they are put through hell. Their training is ludicrously harsh, their minds are broken, their former selves are wiped away, and in its place is left the perfect soldier. They are indoctrinated to put their duty above themselves and all of that stuff. Now, why this annoys me in a way is because the moniker of Glory Boys doesn't really make sense, because they've kind of lost all sense of personality. The old stormtroopers being glory hogs who are just like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm doing all these big badass operations, and I'm kicking ass, and you're just stuck there dying in a trench. Ha ha, screw you. I can see a stormtrooper being a bit of a braggart and an asshole. I can't see it with a Tempestus, because they just seem to have lost their personality. So that, I suppose, is the nearest thing I have to a rant.
This week's episode of Adeptus Podcastus was done in memory of Grape Coon the Penguin. Rest in peace. Sorry.
ADP is fucking awesome, is all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about it.
But what I will say is, Grape Coon, you will be missed by everyone. You are an internet celebrity. We love you all.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. Do you remember that penguin that fell in love with a cardboard cutout of an anime girl? He passed away last night.
Oh, his heart was broken.
The cardboard cutout was brought with him to be with him in his final moments.
Oh, that's adorable. Okay, you know what? I'm okay with it.
Rest in peace, Grape Coon.
I'm not going to laugh.
Hey, you leave that penguin alone. He was a hero.
Oh, I'm trying. I'm not going to laugh. It's just, it's kind of I imagine that, yes, being an internet celebrity kind of has its perks. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's just about everything. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Adeptus Podcastus.
Yes, and in case, thanks to my useless math at the start of the episode, next one is the big 3-0.
That'll be on my channel?
Yep. You're getting all the blooming milestones.
And that's actually the episode just before my birthday as well.
Sweet deal. So live stream? Quite possible. We'll debate that. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will discuss that.
And then we get gate crashed by Fresh, Thunder, Sniper, and Weird, Dr. White, and everyone.
Again.
I'm okay with this.
And we start shouting about Battenberg.
Oh, God, not again.
Oh, that's funny.
I admit, doing it live, I don't think doing it live every week would suit us.
No, special occasions.
Special occasions, absolutely. It was good fun. And we will keep you posted, ladies and gentlemen, as to whether we will be going live with Adeptus Podcastus. You will be informed.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, in any event, thank you all. I'll do the outro then. In any event, thank you all for watching this episode of Adeptus Podcastus. We do hope you have enjoyed it. Leave us your thoughts and your questions in the comments below with the word question if you are asking us anything in particular. But now, though, time to end. My name is Michael for Tactica Imperialis.
This is Remleiz and 40k. I said it first, fuck you.
No, you know what, you fuck. Just keep this in mind, Remleiz. I can literally skull fuck you twice.
Is that a promise? Yeah, shut you up, didn't I?
I'm Alexis, the Ego Queen. I'm done here.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you all next time. Good night.